Hi, how y'all doing? This is Nancy Rosma with On Point TV, and I would always say quilting with Nancy, and I got to thinking tonight it should be painting with Nancy because instead of quilting, we are going to be doing some painting. So I'm just kind of waiting a little bit to make sure that my live is coming through. I think it is. Hey, there's somebody. Hi, Gail. Hi, Dawn. Hi, Dawn again from Minnesota. Yep, should be interesting. I hope you find it interesting. So let's start with what I'll be doing well, no, let's start with an introduction. The fabric behind me, that is a fabric line from Sue Penn. She's a fabric designer for FreeSpirit Fabrics. Actually, she's been designing fabric for over 25 years. It's only been the last couple of years that she's actually been designing with her own artwork. So Sue has been a artist forever. She was telling me that her grandmother actually bought her art classes when she was kid, and I thought that was just like the coolest thing. Well, she has her own studio where she does her own painting, and I'm going to tell on her a little bit. I'm hoping at some point that Sue actually joins us. But she one thing that she does that I know that she loves to do is in the summertime, she works with kids at a summer camp and just does art with these kids at a summer camp. And I don't believe she gets paid for that. That is just her passion to have kids be interested in art. Well, this is, I think, her third line of fabric. And at some point, hi, everybody's on tonight. Hello, everybody. And Patty and Zella and Robin and Betsy and Sharon. And hi, Sharon from Michigan. Thank you very much. So this, I think, is her third line, and it was called Light in the Forest. She's got a couple of other ones since then, a new one that's coming out. I'm not sure if I can tell or not, but I'm going to tell you that maybe it might have some balloons in it. So maybe it's already out, I haven't seen. So Sue and I have been friends for a long, long time, probably about 10 years. She was one of my customers at my previous job. And we just had kismet, just like that. And actually it was because we're both believers and we got to talking about that. And hi, Athena's in Stockbridge right now. Hi, Athena. So Sue has been making fabric. I've done some work with her fabric before. My English paper piecing by machine sample, that one was done with Sue's fabric. And then my new one, the Great Lakes Voyage, which is Learning to Quilt 2, that was done. The one with the big, huge flowers, that was done by Sue. Well, Sue decided to start branching out a little bit. And what she decided to branch out with is stencils. Now, before I start showing you the stencils and the techniques I'm going to use to create my own fabric, and this thing is like running Stockbridge in Idaho, and hi, everybody from Yaya Studios. That's just too adorable. What was I doing? Oh, so before I show you the stencils, I want to tell you that on the links below, so I always have links below to joggles.com. So that's where I get most of my paints, the gel press, all of that kind of stuff. Sue also has a link below. And tonight, when you're looking at the links below, you're going to see the link to Sue's Etsy shop. And if you put the code in of Nancy10, and it's in the little link telling you what you need to put in there, if you purchase anything from Sue's Studio and use that code, you're going to get 10% off your purchase. All right? That's a pretty big deal because you're going to be able to find the stencils there, but you're also going to find a lot of her fabric that maybe you're not even able to see in the shops right now. So please, at the very least, take a look at her Etsy shop, see if there's anything that you want. If you do want something, be sure you put in Nancy10, and then you will have the 10% discount. There is also the links below for Joggles. There is no discount, although Barb, honestly, at Joggles is all the time running lots and lots of sales. And I'm sure that she's running one right now. I just don't know what it's on. But when you use the links below to get to Joggles, I actually make a little bit of a commission. So I really, really appreciate that. The piece behind me, Kathleen, is one of Sue Penn's pieces. So this is called Light in the Forest. Sue decided to start making her own stencils. So let me bring the overhead camera in. That's one where I've got to go like that. We actually had a meeting with my son today, who is an audio video expert guy, does a bunch of that stuff, and he's going to set me up with some new stuff so that we won't run into this situation anymore. So, oops, nope, wrong one. There it is. This is the one I want. So let's straighten that out a little bit. These are the stencils from Sue. Now, there's only 7, and I'm only going to use 4 today, and I'll explain why. So this one is called Medallion 2. So this is the smaller of the medallions. This one, I'll bet you can guess, is medallion 1. This is the large medallion. These are the large ones are 8.5 by 11. The small one is 6 by 6. I'm gonna move those so I don't get them all over. This little guy is called Spotty. Oh, I'm sorry. No, did I do that wrong? Yep. Okay, I did that wrong. This little guy is called Spotty, and I'll show you how I use all of these stencils to get the layering effects, just like Sue does when she does her painting. She also has done some online painting classes, so if you're interested in that, you can contact her through her Facebook page, which there's a link below for that also. And I want to keep looking to see if, hi Northern Idaho, hi Pam from Oregon. This is the light in the forest, and this is actually the tree with the leaves. All right. Now, I'm hoping that next week I will get to use some more. Now, you can't see them because they're a white stencil with a white, didn't think about that. You can barely see it there. So some different things. And this is for her flowers and leaves. There's another medallion that I could have actually used in this one too, but I want to save these and use these all together because technically they're together. So when you go to her Etsy page, you are going to see all of those there. Overhead, sorry. You're going to see all those there. You're also going to see, like I mentioned, a lot of her fabrics and some kits and things like that. So, you know, buying straight from the designer, that's not a bad thing, right? You got to love that you're supporting her. So a little bit talking here. All right, so we are going to start painting. So I want you to know that when I'm doing my painting this time, as usual, oops, things are falling, I'm going to be using the gel press plates. This is my favorite brand of plate. I'm going to be using the 12 by 14. These are available at joggles.com. I'm going to be using the 12 by 14 and my 8 by 10. I'm going to be using a little bit different paint, but just because it's paint that I have. Normally I use the dilutions in the little bottles. Tonight I'm going to be using some more of mine. Oops, that one doesn't have a label. Some of the Jacquard. So I'm going to be using some Lumieres from Jacquard, and hopefully I will remember to get to using some of the Marabou Fashion Shimmer Spray. And I just got this. Literally, I just picked this up. This is not available at Joggles. And I'm not an affiliate with Jerry's Artsorama, but that's where I got this. This is Liquitex spray paint. This happens to be one of Sue's favorite things. She uses this stuff all the time. I didn't even know it existed. And I used to sell craft supplies for a living. We didn't have the Liquitex spray paint. I found it at Jerry's Artsorama. Gotta tell you, really, because when I was looking, so this is the Marabou Art Spray, and this is like maybe $6 for this little bottle. I've always thought it was a very, very good value. When I was buying these, honestly, I thought they were going to be smaller, but they were $9.99. I'm like, well, smaller, is that really going to be worth it? It was like $9.99, and this is a substantial can of spray paint. So this, like I said, I got it from Jerry's Artsorama. Didn't get no discounts or anything on it, but just if you're looking for it, and I'm not positive we'll have time to get to this, but I will really, really try. Okay, so let's put that over there, and let's start some work. So here I just had that covered up because we were doing stuff working on there. Let's get my camera in here. There. All right. So I have my 12 by 14, that's this one, and I have it on my Tim Holtz. Can you see that down there? It's the Tim Holtz by Tonic. It's his big glass mat. Now, I like it because it's heavy and the gel press sticks to it really, really good so it doesn't move around. But for this, I also like that up here, let me scooch that down again so you can see it better, is a craft mat that is stuck to the glass. Yep, that's what it's called. And that little craft mat is where I'm going to be doing some sponging stenciling kind of stuff. So I wanted that there. I've got my stencils here. And I do want to show you, you know what, before I get started, no, I'm going to do it. We're just going to start. Okay, we're just going to start. I have here my little 8 by 10 and my paints. So the first thing that I always like to do is create some sort of a base. So when you were looking at those fabrics in the very beginning, you saw those where everything kind of has a base. So I'm going to use maybe some gold and some blue, make it a little ombre. Now, I love the Jacquard Liquitex, the Jacquard Lumieres and the Jacquard textile mediums and the Neopakes. Love them quite a bit. Oops, I got to clean off this palette knife. What I don't like about them is I have to use a palette knife. So more times there's like little stuff in here because I forget to clean off my palette knife. So I just reach down and use the end of my apron to try and clean it off. Now I'm going to brayer it out. Now when I'm brayering it out, I'm trying to get a nice even coverage over the entire plate. So you lift up your ruler, put it down, lift up, put it down, lift up, put it down. And in this case, I'm trying to get sort of an ombre, so I'm going to keep this kind of going horizontally, but I have too much paint. So when I have too much paint, I'm just going to roll it over here onto my small one. And I'll pick that up with a smaller piece of fabric. I see that there's a little hair on there or something. So I don't want too much paint on here, but sometimes, you know, I overdo it. This is not a uncommon experience, right? Now I'm coming down to the blue, so when I'm doing something ombre, I try rolling the light colors first, and then I go to the dark colors. Once I have a good coverage of my dark color, then I'm going to kind of start rolling it up a little bit, because I want there to be a nice blend right there in the middle, and then I'm going to take this all the way up to the top. Now I'm going to grab a piece of my fabric. I'm using some natural colored muslin and some high quality. Both of them are high quality, but some of it's going to be done on bleached and some of it is going to be done on just the natural color, just because. All right. I do not have any reason. I cannot think of any reason why you need to use the PFD, the prepared for dye fabric. It doesn't make any difference. I've tried it both ways. I also, if you've ever watched any of my painting videos, you know that I don't pre-wash my fabrics either. I don't pre-wash my fabrics for quilting. I don't pre-wash my fabrics for painting. This paint is totally, completely permanent and washable. I do not use a fabric medium unless I want the paint to be a little bit thinner. I'm going to turn down the lights a little bit, so might be in a little bit of an adjustment here. Hopefully that you can see a little bit more there. I don't use fabric medium. I do use a fabric medium if I want more play time, because that actually gives me a little bit more play time. But there's the basics, but you can go back and watch a whole bunch of my painting videos to learn all about that. All right, now I'm going to peel that up. There is my ombre that I got. That's going to be my base coat for some of my work. But I see that there's still quite a bit on there, so I'm going to add just a little bit more of the gold and get two pieces, and maybe I'll do all over gold this time. Clean off your palette knife, Nancy. All right, where did my brayer go? There it is. I got it lost. Okay, and down here I'm going to kind of mix the colors together. So when I want to mix the colors, that's what I do. I just kind of stir them that way. Greetings from Mississippi. My brother lives in Mississippi, and he's coming up for Christmas this year. So that'll be nice. So our Christmas party is not until this next weekend. My family's always done our parties a little bit later. We don't do it on Christmas so that everybody can spend time with their in-laws on Christmas, and then you go to my dad's place on the Saturday after. All right. So I'm just going to leave this one here. All right, because I don't need this piece of fabric for what I'm going to be doing next, and I'm going to leave it here, and by leaving it there, what it's going to do is pick up every itsy bitsy little piece of paint that is on there. Okay, I'm going to take this guy and clean him off now. He was the one that just had a little bit of gold. I'll layer it. That's going to be my first layer, and I'll end up putting something on there sooner or later. All right, so I came up with a couple of different ways that I could do this, and I'm going to show you what ended up being my two favorite ways. So this one's a little bit lighter than I had planned, but it'll be just fine. So what I was finding is when I was using the stencils, I was mostly trying to use the stencil like I normally do, where I put paint here, I put the stencil down, then I would flip over this and pick it up. And it was okay, but then I also had the base one here, and it was just kind of like, it was what I didn't need. What I want is these medallion designs onto my base fabric. And I came up with a couple of ways. One of them is going to be brand new, and that's what I'm going to start with first. I'm going to put the stencil down on a clean plate. So there is nothing else, well, little bits of gold, but nothing to worry about it right here. I'm going to not use my brayer, but instead I'm going to be using some sponges. Okay, and I'm going to just use one of them. These are those sea sponges. What do you call that tool you're using, Luann? This is called a brayer. This is what you use, a brayer. This one is the 4-inch brayer. These are all available at joggles.com, 2-inch brayer. There's even a 6-inch. I have a 6-inch. I just don't use it that often. So now, instead of putting the paint on my plate, I'm going to put it on my palette. So I want to use some colors that are going to be able to be seen on this light background, and I don't want it to be super high contrast. So this is one of the Sparks paints from Prima, and this one's available. I love it because, well, it's a perfect texture. It's got a nice fluidity to it, which is what I want when I'm painting on my fabrics. And I'm going to use that one and maybe this Lumiere from Jacquard. So I mix brands. You know what? I would be totally willing to pull out my dilutions, but the truth is I got done teaching a class with it, and they were all packed away. And so that's why I used my Jacquards instead for the most part. All right, so I've got those two colors there. You know, maybe I'm going to put a little bit of yellow down too, because in Sue's video, she talks about how she likes making these be a little bit kind of colors, making the colors be different on here. So I'm going to start with my sponge, and maybe if I pull this down a little bit, you'll be able to see. I'm going to start with this teal, all right? So I'm going to bounce it all over. I'm not just going to come in here and pick up a whole bunch of paint all at once. I'm going to get it and bounce it around a little bit. Now take it over here, and I'm going to go around the center portion of this mandala. And you've got to work a little bit fast. If you work too slow, things just kind of dry out too fast and they don't transfer as well. Now I'm going to go to the green. Again, I'm going to bounce it around a little bit. I'm going to kind of do that next layer, or the next, yeah, I guess it would be a layer going out on this mandala. Now you can't see it, but I'm going to grab some of that yellow. And it's not going to be bright yellow because I mixed it with the green and the sponge. And I'm trying to get the sponge to get paint down into these little holes too. Dee, dee, dee. All right. And the paint actually goes quite a long way. All right. So I'm going to now take this. I've got to peel this guy up so that I can do what I want to do on this base. All right, that's going to be fine. Okay. I'm going to take this stencil that has the paint on it. And this was so cool. I love this. I'm going to place it. There's the paint that I just sponged down. I'm going to place it onto a bare plate. While that is setting there, I'm going to come over here with the other background that I just created. And I'm going to pick that mandala up off of that plate. And I got to tell you, I'd never done this before. This was all new for me. This is not the technique that I normally use. If you go back and watch some of my other ones, you won't see me doing this. Now, this is awesome. When I pick that up, oh, wait a minute, I got to smear it down a little bit. It is going to leave some of it behind. And that ended up being some of my favorite ones that I painted, were the ones that I leave behind on here. And I'm going to do quite a few of it. You'll see when I'm doing it. I got to slide that up so you just can't see my palette. Okay. Okay, so now this one is just leaving a little bit, not too much. I need to move a little bit faster, and otherwise I can't get the impressions that I want. Now I'm going to pick this up. Check that out. All right, so now I have a beautiful kind of ombre looking mandala there. So I'm going to set him to the side, and we're going to do it again. I'm going to use the same colors again. This time I'm going to try and work faster so that I can get more on the big plate. There's that green. I got enough green. I need the yellow. And some yellow there. Okay. All right. Taking my sponge again. Going to pick up the teal. Working a little bit fast. Trying to go fast. When I was doing the other technique that I'll show you, the paint gets a little bit thicker on the fabric, which is not always what we want. Now, if this were paper or canvas, well, that'd be a no-brainer. That'd be perfectly fine to have the paint be thicker. But on fabric, we obviously, at least I think it's obviously, we don't want a big, chunky of paint on our fabric. We need our fabric to still be like fabric so that when we make quilts, the person sleeping under them doesn't scratch their face with the paint, which that would be kind of sad. All right, gone all the way around with the yellow. Now I'm going to pick this up. I'm going to lay it down here onto the mostly clean plate. I didn't get all that gold off. I wasn't quite as patient as I should be. Stick that down. Now this is my background again that I've been working on. I'm going to place that guy maybe off this corner so that I'm not getting him all on there. Gotta make sure that I'm down here long enough. The fabric does get a little bit stiff, yes, but not so stiff that you can't use it in a quilt. Ooh, that's my phone ringing. Please ignore that. I'm going to come to the other side here and grab that. So when you're a quilter, you probably know about doing, okay, Karen. Thanks, Karen, interrupting my live. You probably know about doing fusible applique. The paint on here is not as stiff as if you use a steam to seam light or something like that, right? So yes, it does have a little bit of a hand, but not so much. Right, so now I've got a couple of the larger mandalas, putting them off to the side here. This one turned out really, really nice. This one, I love the outside edge of it, but the middle of that was down here, so it's not quite as prominent. Let's move him over there a little bit. Let's peel that up. Oh, I get a little bit impression on that, which is just fine. There, that one turned out better on there. I'm going to try and get a little bit more here on the corner. Oh, yeah. All right. Now I'm going to switch over to the little mandala. And this that I'm doing here, I am building a design. I've done this before, showing you how I build layers, and that's what I'm doing on that one. All right. So now with the little mandala, if I could find it, there it is, I'm going to show you the other technique, which is a little hard because I don't want to mess this up. So I'm going to use it over here on this. So this way gets a nice amount of paint on. Obviously, you can see the design. This other way is going to get a little bit more paint on, but you might find it easier because you don't have to stress so much. You don't have to be super duper fast. So I'm going to lay that there. My sponge, which is in this general vicinity, there it is, already has some paint in it. I'm going to go right through it. Okay, just going right through the stencil. So like you would traditionally think stencil, and bada boom, bada bing, I've got a small mandala on there. And I can still do the, you know what, on this one here where it doesn't have a center, I'm going to do the small mandala, and I'm going to pull in more yellow. You can still do the ombre look if you're looking for the ombre look. So with this one, I did a little yellow on the inside. Now I'm going to come to the teal and kind of pick that up on the outside so that that big one will now have a small one. There we go. He's turning out very, very nice. And then let's do one more here in this area. I do like staying with one color. Like, I don't think that I want to, suddenly pull out a, something really funky. I want the colors to be like within whatever the palette is. So I'm going to use a little bit gold on this one. Yeah, so I didn't pull out my palette knife. It is honestly the main reason I like the Dilutions paint, because of the container it comes in with that little spot. If you don't know what I'm talking about by the Dilutions, just jump over to some of my other painting videos and you'll see that. So we've got gold. We'll have another gold medallion over here, and maybe now I'll go and add some of that green to the gold so that you get a little bit of an ombre in your mandala. And you just got to like that. Okay, personally, I love it. So, okay. Now I'm going to take this that has the paint on top of it. And I'm going to do the same thing as I had been doing previously. I'm going to push it down onto my, that one's wonderful. Okay. And I was so surprised by how many of these little prints I could get onto the other plate from the mandala. I didn't expect that, and I was so pleasantly surprised. All right. So now on this, I've got kind of, let me show you this one. All right. So this guy, I'm going to consider him done. I probably would, I want to put some spots on. I'll show you how I do the spots. But this guy, I want to add more mandalas to it, and I'm going to use the small mandala and I'm going to sponge right through it, so just like I've been doing. And so it's going to give you the reverse of what I've been getting when I've been putting the stencil down. So this would technically be, I don't know, the positive, and then the next, because this is going to be the space, the holes in the stencil. Cool. Now I'm going to do another one over here, though. I feel like I need something else. I'm going to just do the inside flower. And then I get really, really excited because I think it's so pretty. All right. But now I'm going to take and I'm going to turn it over just like I had been doing. Okay. So I've got the positive and the negative out of this little guy. Okay. Just wait till you see what I do with this. It's really, really cool. All right. So now I've used my little mandala. I'm going to move him over to the side. Now I want to use spotty. It's all about the layering, okay? So on this one over here, I'm just going to keep him here. I'm going to use spotty. What color should I use? I think I'm going to use gold. So I'm going to put a little bit of the gold. So this is the gold jacquard Lumiere, which I got a big container of it because I love the shiny gold, which is, par for the course here. Okay. And I'm going to grab some of that, cleaning off my, I kind of bounce him over here onto my craft mat for a little bit. Does it fade a lot when you wash it? It does not fade at all. How about that? It's not like dyeing fabric. When you dye fabric, the first time you wash it, even if you use retain, you're going to lose a lot of the color. I've done some dyeing. I've done different things with that, not nearly as much as I have done with this. I obviously am more experienced with this than I am dyeing, but yeah, it does not fade at all. It doesn't bleed either. So now I've added the spotty spots to that. So let me turn them around and add some more spots here. Okay. And just random in the spotting. Okay. So that I've got additional texture. I don't know how well you can see that. Let me see if I can lift it up a little bit. Can you see the spots? You can really see them over here on this side. They showed up really good. All right. But I want to now take the spotty spots and I want to add some spotty spots to this. So right through the stencil, right onto the plate. And I liked that spotty actually had this edge here too, so you could kind of do a border like it was raining down into your piece. And like I said, Sue does have some videos where she actually is painting on canvas because that's what she does. And she was pretty excited when she said that when I told her, I want to do some painting on fabric with it. There, so I've added a little bit, maybe just a little bit of sponging color. I want there to be good color on here, but I want you to be able to see the design that's here, all right? So now this needs to dry. Yeah, that's what you have to do. You got to do just like that. So I'm trying to dry it. It's pretty good because I only sponge things on anyhow. And this is all just on the plate. You can kind of see through the black of the glass mat makes it a little bit distorted. Now, on top of this, I am going to put quite a bit of, I want to be sure my brayer is cleaned off. Okay, my brayer is pretty clean. This is the jacquard. This is highlight violet. I know it looks like white, but it's really not. It's got a great kind of iridescent sheen to it. And I'm going to kind of pour some on here just to get started. Yes, I should be using my palette knife. I always think, Nancy, don't do things like this while people are watching. What are they going to think? Well, this is true reality with Nancy. I don't want to blop too much down, though. There. But yet, when you're doing this, where you're trying to pick up one layer of design off of this one plate, you do have to put a little bit more down, and you want to be really cautious when you brayer it. So now I'm going to brayer this, but at the same time, I'm going to keep this here because if I've got too much, I'm going to bring it over to my little plate. When I'm brayering this, I am moving it, but I am not trying to blend it with the colors below. I want the colors below to say stay stationary. And what you guys cannot see is this is an iridescent paint. So as I'm spreading it out, to me, it looks like violet. It's called highlight violet. I love this. It is a great white base for picking up the designs off of the plate. Now, I gotta apologize. I haven't been paying attention to the chat too much. I'm sorry, because I'm concentrating. There. All right. Then I'm going to spread this one over here. Now I'm going to get 2 pieces of fabric. Still got actually a little bit more. I'm going to take a big white one. This is my muslin that I do, and it's going to maybe a little bit thicker than I needed, which means it's going to totally come through. Actually, it didn't come through that much. All right. Going to smear that all down. Going to do the same idea with the little one. Actually, I got this other piece that I had a little leftover. Like I had put one of the stencils down on this one just to clean it off because I couldn't bear to waste it. Gonna put that one down. So that'll pick up those designs. And you'll remember on this little plate, there was an outline left over. So there won't be a lot on here, but it'll be enough. All right. So we have used 3 of the stencils so far. So now the next thing is to do the tree. Okay. So I'm going to continue right on this same one, and we're going to pull out, there's my palette knife. I don't know how it got all the way over there. We're going to pull out the tree. So I'm going to place the tree, got kind of like this blank spot over here, and I like what's going on up here, so I think I'm going to have the tree go maybe from here. Okay. And this one, I'm going to use the technique that I did with the second time. So what color do I want my tree to be? My tree will be, ooh, I like this color. Oh, and I know what I did last time. I like that. So this is one of the metallic acrylic paints from Art Alchemy, available at joggles.com. So this is a really nice, shiny, it looks like metallic, but it's not. Going to clean off my palette. You'll be so proud of me. Then I was going to use my dark green, and I'm going to actually make some maybe leaves with the tree. So we'll see how that works. Never done that before. Okay. So I'm going to take my sponge, and I'm going to pick up some of that metallic, and I'm going to just sponge right through. Now try really hard not to put too much on. Try really hard not to be tempted to smear, because smearing just ends up making it go underneath the stencil. If you do it this way, you don't have to use any adhesive spray to keep it down. All right, my tree is now covered. Now I'm going to grab some of my green, and the green is mixing in with the little bit of the metallic that I had, that red metallic. And sometimes, like on Sue's, she does her trees in one color, and then she actually uses really cool scrapbooking papers to get the designs that she gets for her leaves, which are really, really cool. Look at that little guy back there. Probably what I do, yep, I'd lose my tools all the time. Okay, gotta scooch it over. And I also don't have enough space. It'd be great to have more space. All right. Oops, one more leaf there. I'm going to pull that up, and when I pull this up, I'm going to take it over to I'm going to put it right here. Remember that gold that I pulled up off of this plate at the very beginning? I'm going to peel that up. Ta-da! There is my tree. I'm going to put it down on this one. All right? And I'm going to take this away, but I'm going to come right back. I'm not going very far. I'm going to the other side of my studio because I want to show you what you can do next with the trees. Okay? So I'm going to take him because what I want to do now is I want to use my paint pens, but this paint is wet and you cannot do the paint pens until this is completely dry. Trust me on that. If you do with your paint pens before that is completely dry, you will end up messing up your paint pens. Okay? So let's come on over here. I want to show you some that I've done, and then maybe I'm going to be able to get to doing that spray. I don't know how long we've been on. I don't have a timer. Oh, okay. We've only been on a little bit, 39 minutes. So this is what makes the accents on the trees. This is one that I did previous. So for this is when I use my Posca paint pens. Now I've got a couple of other brands in here too. You've seen me, if you've been watching my show, you've seen me use the Posca paint pens before. They've got a shaker ball in them. This one is black. Okay, he's going to be great. I'm going to prime him a little bit. I'm going to use him. But you see the variety of colors that I have here. I'm going to use this one. And this one is actually a PBO. I just already had a PBO in yellow, so I didn't buy a Posca in yellow. And maybe a red. Okay. I have fat ones. I've done like plaid fabrics where I've used the fat pens before. So on here with the black. Now I already outlined with green and then also with gold. Now I'm going to outline a little bit with black. And when you look at Sue's designs, that's what she does. She actually does some scuffing of the black because she's doing it on canvas. I can't do that because I'm on fabric. And I'm not going to do it on every one of them. And I'm not going to do it, and I'm not going to do them on every one just because we've got limited time. Well, unless you guys all want to just spend the night here and we'll just paint all day. I could do that. I should do that. Marathon painting day where I just paint the whole day and you guys watch. That to me would be marvelously fun. I would love that. Would anybody be interested in watching me paint all day? I was thinking about that with my new quilting machine. My son's going to set up a new camera, and I thought it'd be really fun to just quilt an entire quilt. Because I usually will quilt for 3 or 4 hours at a time. I thought it'd be kind of fun to just sit and do that and be live. I could take questions, or you could just enjoy the quilting. All right, yep, you need to have a new hobby. So you're going to do some lining with that, but then you're going to take your paint pens and add what I think is the most fabulous part on these are the little dots. Okay, so here I'm adding yellow on these. I don't know if you can see them, but when I come back to the front shot, you'll see on Sue's where she does these dots. And she uses, I think she's using a paint marker. I can't remember what brand she uses. Right? So adding some yellow there, maybe some copper. Nope, can't see the copper on either one of those. Maybe down here I can. Got to prime it a little bit. Can't really see the copper too good, so I'm going to nix that idea. Go to the red. Maybe we can see the red. Yeah, I can see the red. So adding those dots to the leaves, just so fun. My biggest problem with that is remembering when to stop. Stop, Nancy, stop. No more dots, no more dots. I kind of forget what I'm doing sometimes and just do lots and lots of dots. Right? So that is how you can make your own tree of life. Well, light in the forest, like with Sue's stuff. But now I want to show you some of that spray paint that I just got that is really fun. I mean, literally, it's still pretty cold because it was out in the box. Right? This is one that I did with the spray paint. Is that not beautiful? Now, what I like about this spray paint, I still got to show you what's under there, so don't leave yet because I got to show you what's under there. But it needs to set on there for some time to make the best impression. I've got 2 pieces of palette paper, which for all intents and purposes is freezer paper, to handle some of the overspray that is going to happen. I'm going to take my big mandala, and this is one Sue taught on her thing, how to get an echo. I'm just going to place this guy down here. I'm going to have over here, though, I want to have something. Maybe I'll put it on this. All right. So what color do I want to do? I'm just going to do yellow. No, you won't be able to see yellow so good. Let me get one of my other colors. Brand new, out of the box. Let's do red. Why? Because I like it. Okay. So again, this is this Liquitex spray paint. Okay. Literally out of the box. It's still cold. Oh. Love of crafts. Yeah. All right. And this stuff sprays so nice. This is a spray can. It's got very low odor, and it's not an oil or anything like that. Look at how it sprays. You guys, it like sprays this beautiful light coating, just like that. Right? Now I'm going to take and flip that top over onto here. I've got so many layers of stuff going here because I can't bear to waste all that paint, right? Check it out. I mean, is that the coolest thing ever? The quickest, coolest little thing? A quilting slumber party. That would be very, very fun. I used to actually teach an all-night quilting class at a quilt shop here in Grand Rapids. All right. And then this over here. What do you think of that? I am going to take my stencils and drop them in some water. This spray paint is the coolest thing. You know what? I really want to do another layer on top of this because it just looks kind of bland compared to the other one that's got two colors. What do you think of this spray paint? I wish, you know, I'm going to try and get a affiliate sales through Amazon because I think that you can get this spray paint through them. Because I'd like to make a little money if I'm going to sell this to you guys. And like I said, I tried finding it in Hobby Lobby and places like that. I couldn't find it anywhere. Okay, spray down. Look at the coverage. Immediate coverage. And it doesn't overspray much. I mean, a little bit, but not much. And pick that baby up. Okay, now I'm going to place this one a little bit off center from that last one. There. I'll take this one over to my other side because I don't want to take them up now. I want them to get more paint. I want more of that paint to transfer down. So I'm taking them to my large ironing surface out of your view. And then this is what that spray paint does. This stuff is so cool. And this is an acrylic spray paint, water-based, so that means it's going to be totally permanent on your fabric. Now, somebody was asking about that. I make quilts with my fabrics. When I'm doing this, my intention is to make quilts. And when I make a quilt, I expect a quilt to be washed. So I expect these to wash. They don't bleed. They don't fade. They're fabulous. So I'm going to first take up this one. I can't remember what we had on under here. This one, I put down the violet. Oh, and it picked up what was left over on the plate from the very, very first mandala that I did. Okay, and look at my plate. Perfectly clean now. Ready to start a whole new project. So that, another mandala. This is the one that I've been wanting to get to. Oh, it's not quite dry. All right, while I'm doing that, I'm going to show you some close-ups while that, because I really want that to come out fabuloso. Let me close a little bit of paints. And I want to show you guys some of the ones that I've been doing that are a little bit more up close. So I put these on a PowerPoint. So this is one of them. You can see where I've got the tree there. I've done a couple of different mandalas. This, I just thought this turned out wonderful. And it's got the dots over here. All right. There we go. This is one that, like the one that I'm waiting to pull up right now. It has the impression of the mandalas that were put down onto the large plate. And this is a 12 by 14 inch plate. So it is a nice size piece of fabric. Some I wish I could just make them more. Here's one doing just a lot of different colors. These was my initial ones, trying to figure out how I wanted to do it. I thought it turned out really good, but down here, this had been a smear, that big gold one. I don't know if you guys can see my arrow or not. Oh, you can. Yeah, this had been kind of really smeared here, so I just did the stenciling down with some gold over top of it, because instead of it just being a big blob, now it's a very nice looking little mandala, I think. I love this one. This is one of the first ones where I started doing the ombre color, so a little color here. Here you've got the green and then the red. I look at these and I want them to be yards of fabric. Then I remembered about the speckle, that little spotty guy. So here on the border was able to add some of the gold there and dotted throughout. This was actually leftovers from like the tops of stencils. So when it's the outline of the stencil like that, that means it was just the tops of the stencil that after I put paint on, I just put it, before I started putting it on the plate and found out how cool that was, I was just putting it right down onto the fabric. And yes, it is cool still. All right, this was one of the very first ones. He's a little muddied, but I can really see him as the dark when I make the quilt with all of these fabrics, which I will, you know I will. Then I did a tree that was just the tree on green, and you can see the dots in the outlining, just like Sue. And then this, was this one my favorite? Yep, that was, okay, let me go back. Current slide, there. This was my favorite one. This is when I was putting the mandalas, the tops of the stencils down onto the plate, and then I let it completely dry, and then I picked it up using that violet. And this is a gorgeous piece. I mean, it is, I would love to see yards and yards of that one. And guess what? Sue has yards and yards of her actual artwork. So you gotta love that, right? So, oops, I gotta get rid of something so I can see you. There you are. All right. So again, I hope you enjoyed this. This is my painting on fabric using the monoprinting plates, gel press. All the links are below, so you can go to Joggles, pick up the Dilutions paint, which is the paint I normally use. They're in little bottles. There's a direct link to it below. And then also get to Sue's Etsy shop. Remember, if you use that code, Nancy10, you're going to get 10% off anything that you buy on her shop, and you're going to find her stencils there. There is a lot of other videos, so I've got an entire playlist of the videos of all of the different paintings that I've done. I enjoy doing this very, very much. If I could, I would do it all the time. But it really does like take over. I mean, it like, yeah, I've got to clean it all off in order to start doing some quilting again, which of course I need to do. Next week, hopefully, I'll do another painting video using the other 3 stencils from Sue's collection. And then I need to do some more videos. We got a lot planned for you. All of the books and the patterns that I do, those are always available on my website, which is www.onpoint-tv.com. That's where you can find all of my books and stuff, my pincushion, which obviously I'm not wearing because I'm not sewing. And I have a membership. So when you're looking at the chats, you might find people that have, like Barbara and Sharon, have a little 9 patch right next to theirs. That means they're a member. Now, there's 3 levels of member, and that's what the join button on my YouTube channel is. If you click on that join button, you will see all about the membership. So consider joining the membership. It helps me do this. It really makes a big difference being able to have a little bit of more income so that I can just do this and don't have to go back to the office. Now I'm going to try and peel this piece up, and hopefully he's ready. Oh, he's ready. Let's see. Oh, we're getting there. This is exciting. Oh, it's a beauty. Oh, I'm missing some of it. Some of it's not completely dry, so I'm going to lose a little bit of it. So I try to pull around on the fabric so it comes from different angles. And then when these fabrics are done, I actually take them and I iron them all down. All right, can you see that? I hope it's not too glary. I wish you guys could see these in real life. Those of you on the West Coast, I'm actually teaching at the Road to California. And I'm not teaching my painting class, but I will bring some of my fabrics to sell and stuff if you're interested in that. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed it. I would love to see some things that you've painted. Once in a while, people will post. So I've got a show and share Facebook page. So I've got my On Point page that I put things on, but there's a Quilting with Nancy show and share page. You can go there and share anything you're working on. It can be a quilt. It can be one of mine quilts. It can be a quilt from Timbuktu. Any of the things that you're painting, stuff like that. Also, if you are a Facebooker, consider going to, there's a site called Gel Press Enthusiasts. That's a group, and they do so many different of this kind of stuff. 99% of them do it on paper, but a lot of those techniques can be transferred right over to fabric, so you'll get a lot more great ideas. And that's it. Give me a thumbs up if you would. I'd really appreciate it. YouTube appreciates it when you do that too. Thank you very much for joining me, everybody. Oh, Happy New Year. Thank you very much, Luann. She wrote that, and that reminded me. I could sing the Happy New Year song, but maybe not tonight. Have a great night.